Imagine a country where law enforcement is virtually non-existent, and piracy, organized crime, and terrorist groups operate freely. Welcome to Somalia. Somalia is a nation located in the Horn of Africa, a region known for its strategic importance in world trade and geopolitics. Unfortunately, Somalia is currently recognized as the most dangerous country in the world. This war-torn nation has been in a state of civil war since 1991, with no effective government to speak of and no real law enforcement. This is a land where the rule of law is a distant memory and chaos is the order of the day. This lack of structure has allowed piracy, organized crime, and terrorist groups to operate with impunity. The waters off the coast of Somalia are among the most treacherous in the world, with pirates frequently attacking and hijacking ships. On land, organized crime syndicates and terrorist groups such as Al-Shabaab have carved out their own territories, imposing their own brutal form of law and order. But the problems in Somalia are not just man-made. The country is constantly plagued by drought, famine, and disease. These natural disasters, coupled with the lack of a functioning healthcare system, have led to an extremely high mortality rate. The average life expectancy in Somalia is one of the lowest in the world, and child mortality rates are shockingly high. In addition to these challenges, the country's economy is in shambles. With no stable government to provide basic services or to attract foreign investment, Somalia is one of the poorest countries in the world. Unemployment is rampant, and those who are fortunate enough to have jobs often work in dangerous conditions for meager wages. Despite the numerous challenges it faces, Somalia is a country of resilient people who continue to strive for a better future. But the road to stability and prosperity is a long one, and it's a journey that the Somali people cannot make alone. Somalia, a nation in the Horn of Africa, stands as the most dangerous country in the world today. From the African continent, we move to the Middle East, where Syria presents a grim picture of danger and unrest. Syria, a country steeped in ancient history and rich culture, is now synonymous with a civil war that has been raging for over a decade. Since 2011, the nation has been a battleground. A peaceful protest demanding democratic reforms was met with violent government backlash. This sparked a conflict that has grown into a full-blown civil war. The war in Syria is not just a domestic affair. It has become a global issue with numerous countries and factions involved, either directly or indirectly, turning the country into a complex web of alliances and rivalries. This has led to a devastating impact on the Syrian people and their homeland. The brutality of this conflict is staggering. The country has been subjected to numerous terrorist attacks. The horrors of bombing, suicide attacks, and even chemical weapons attacks have become a harrowing reality for the Syrian people. The cost of this conflict in terms of human lives has been immense. Hundreds of thousands of people have lost their lives, while millions more have been forced to flee their homes, creating one of the largest refugee crises in recent history. Adding to the complexity and danger is the presence of various extremist groups, including ISIS. Syria has unfortunately become a hotbed for these organizations. They operate with relative impunity, adding another layer of fear and instability to an already volatile situation. The people of Syria are caught in the crossfire of a conflict that shows no signs of abating. The societal fabric of the country is being torn apart as families are separated, communities displaced, and historical sites destroyed. Syria, a nation torn apart by war and extremism, is a close contender for the title of the most dangerous country. The resilience of its people is constantly tested as they strive to survive and hope for a peaceful future. The international community must continue to work towards a resolution and aid those affected by this devastating conflict. Shifting our focus to the heart of Asia, we find Afghanistan, a nation synonymous with war and terror. This landlocked country has been in a state of war since the United States-led invasion in 2001, a conflict that has left deep scars on the nation and its people. The high levels of violence and terror attacks from the Taliban and other militant groups have made life a daily struggle for survival for many Afghans. These groups have exploited the country's instability, turning it into a battleground for their ideological wars. The relentless violence has not only claimed countless lives, but has also left a profound impact on the nation's psyche. But violence and terror are not the only issues tormenting Afghanistan. The country also grapples with severe poverty, with a significant portion of the population living below the poverty line. This economic hardship is compounded by rampant corruption, which has become entrenched in the country's political and social fabric. Corruption not only saps the country's resources, but also erodes trust in institutions, further destabilizing the nation. The lack of economic opportunity is another thorn in Afghanistan's side. With limited access to education and jobs, many young Afghans find themselves trapped in a cycle of poverty and violence. This lack of opportunity fuels frustration and desperation, making the country a fertile ground for extremist ideologies to take root. Afghanistan's struggles are not just a result of external factors, but also reflect deep-seated internal issues. The country's tribal and ethnic divisions, coupled with a history of conflict and foreign intervention, have made it difficult to establish a stable, inclusive government. This lack of political stability has only added to the country's woes, making it a hotbed of instability and danger. Afghanistan, a country mired in conflict and instability, is yet another one of the world's most dangerous nations. Its story is a stark reminder of the devastating impact of war, terror, and corruption, and the urgent need for solutions to these complex issues. Returning to Africa, we find the Democratic Republic of Congo, a nation plagued by violence and unrest. This vast country, nestled in the heart of the continent, has been caught in a vortex of conflict and chaos since the 1990s, a period marked by the relentless struggle for power among numerous rebel factions. The Democratic Republic of Congo is a tragic testament to the destructive power of civil unrest. The nation has been the stage for a deadly dance, with rebel groups vying for control over its mineral-rich territories. This power struggle has not only wreaked havoc on the country's political landscape, but has also left a trail of devastation in its wake, leading to unthinkable human suffering. The ramifications of this unrest are staggering, with millions of lives lost and countless others displaced. Families have been torn apart, villages decimated, and communities left in ruins. The constant threat of violence has forced many Congolese to abandon their homes, their lives, and their dreams for a safer future. But the turmoil doesn't stop there. This instability, coupled with the country's vast and often inaccessible terrain, has provided a fertile breeding ground for armed groups. These groups, often operating outside the law and with a disregard for human life, further amplify the sense of danger and lawlessness that pervades the nation. Amid this turmoil, the Democratic Republic of Congo struggles to establish a sense of normalcy. Yet, the relentless tide of conflict and the shadow of armed groups make this an uphill battle. The government's attempts to restore order and stability are often thwarted by these elements, leaving the nation in a state of perpetual uncertainty. The Democratic Republic of Congo, with its volatile mix of violence and instability, is among the most dangerous countries in the world. The nation stands as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked conflict and a potent testament to the urgent need for international intervention and support. These countries, fraught with danger and instability, are desperate for attention and assistance. A sobering truth that resonates as we delve into the depths of the world's most perilous nations: Somalia, Syria, Afghanistan, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The turmoil and tribulations these countries face are not their burdens alone to bear. It is a shared humanitarian crisis that demands global attention. The international community, united in its diversity, holds the power to enact change and foster stability. But how can this be achieved? Through a multi-pronged approach that involves political, economic, and humanitarian strategies. Politically, the international community can exert pressure on warring factions to cease hostilities, paving the way for peaceful negotiations. The power of diplomacy should never be underestimated. It can turn the tides of conflict and sow the seeds of peace. Economically, developed nations can invest in these countries, providing opportunities for growth and development. An economy that thrives is a bulwark against instability. It offers the people hope, prosperity, and a reason to resist the lure of extremist ideologies. But perhaps the most immediate and impactful form of assistance comes in the form of humanitarian aid. Food, clean water, medicine, shelter. These basic necessities are woefully scarce in these nations. Providing them can alleviate immediate suffering and save countless lives. Of course, these solutions are not without their challenges. There will be setbacks and obstacles, but the cost of inaction is far greater. Lives hang in the balance, and every moment we delay, the scale tips further towards despair. We must also remember that these nations are more than just their conflicts. They are lands of rich history, vibrant cultures, and resilient people who yearn for peace and prosperity. As we shine a light on the world's most dangerous countries, let us also ignite a call to action for the global community to intervene and help restore peace and stability. Because in this interconnected world, their plight is our plight and their peace is our peace.